After 1 year and 52 videos, this week on the allotment, I have something a little bit different. When it comes to our growing spaces, we really love things to look absolutely pristine and brilliant, whether it is our allotment or in our garden. However, every single one of us will have an area which has gone a little bit over the top, and this is mine. Now, this bed is actually right next to a hedge and it is full of couch grass. Now, I'll be honest with you, I've sort of abandoned this area this year because I just got so annoyed with it. However, I am going to do something which is going to be a bit unusual for an allotment, but it is, however, going to help out with our biodiversity. And I'm going to turn this area into a pond. Now, this isn't going to be a pond with fish in it. It is going to be specifically for encouraging those helpful bugs and little creatures which are going to support our growing space. Now, I've got quite a few steps that I need to do. The first one is obviously going to be clearing this area and actually digging down to get that couch grass out, and also to make a little dip in the ground where the pond is going to be. Now, I'm not going to go too deep because I do have things like hedgehogs in this area and I don't want them getting into trouble. Now, once I've actually sorted out the groundwork on this, so to speak, making sure there's no sharp stones or anything in the ground, I then need to get my pond liner down. Now, my pond liner is around 200 grams per square metre, which for a 2.5 by 2.5 bed or pond, it's going to be slightly smaller than that, is absolutely perfect. So I'll lay that down in the bottom and then I will need to fill it with some stones or grit. Now, before I put the stones and grit in there, I will need to wash these through because they're going to have sort of dust or debris on them, and I don't want that going into my water. I'm going to edge around the pond itself just to make sure it's holding everything in place. And of course, the next thing that is so important for encouraging our wildlife but also oxygenating the water in our pond is our planting. So a few steps to do, and then I'm going to get on those beautiful plants. So now that I've put my grit down, I've put the water in, and I've cut around the edge of the pond liner itself, I am able to concentrate on my planting. Now, the planting isn't just what's in the water, but it's also what's around the edge of the water, because we are thinking companion planting, even though we're looking at an area for biodiversity using water as your basis. And what I've put around the edge in the ground, I know, is mint and lemon balm. Maybe I've got a lot of lemon balm, but the mint itself, and obviously the lemon, that citrusy smell, is to detract lots of mosquitoes. If you have a still body of water, you're going to have lots of larvae in there, mosquitoes, and actually I want to encourage wildlife, but I don't want to encourage those on everything else. Now, when it comes to the plants themselves that go into the water, we have our oxygenators and we have our marginals. Now, even though I'm not putting fish in here, I still need oxygen in this water to stop it from going stagnant and stale and getting all sorts of nasty stuff in there, which is not going to be beneficial to our wildlife whatsoever. Now, quite often when we get our pond plants, if they are not bare root, you can get bare root, you'll have them in a small pot with some soil. Now, because this is really shallow, I've got my tights out again, and I have actually repotted, so to speak, in some of those tights, which is forming like a net around, and then I put them in the water. Now, on your labels with your pond plants where it says your depth, what you're looking at on that is, if you're thinking about the soil level when we're planting in the soil, actually that's your water level. So if it says sort of 5 centimeters depth, that's how much more water you need above the root. Now, I know the time of year may not be perfect for actually setting out a pond, but these are indigenous plants. They are absolutely suitable for zone 8 in the UK, and they will die off, but they will again come back. They are perennials, and that means that when we come to spring, they're going to be ready to come back to life. So with my marginals, they are going to have lots of flowers on there because I do want to be encouraging my pollinators into this area itself, as well as something really interesting. If you look at my little shamrock over there, you have very much like a shamrock, you have the 4 little leaves on there, and what newts will do, really interestingly, is in the water they will lay their eggs underneath and wrap the leaves around them until they're ready to come out. So I'm hoping to get some roots. I've also got things like the water lily. It's a small water lily because this is a really small space. I have got a Potentilla, which almost looks like bee balm or bergamot, which is ideal because I'm right next to my herb beds, as well as these beautiful looking forget-me-nots. Now, again, this is exactly like a forget-me-not that you get in the soil, but this is a pond version, and again that will self-seed and do amazing things. The Alisma itself is also so pretty. It's got these little delicate flowers and it's almost like gypsophilia. So I'm looking for beauty, but I'm also looking for that oxygenating factor, and I'm looking for things which are going to encourage wildlife to this pond. And I have to say, within 24 hours of creating this, I've already had a dragonfly, which is really encouraging. So get yourself sorted with a wildlife pond, whether it's on your allotment or in your garden, and the only thing really left for me to do is put Reggie here back somewhere nice.